It's the end of the week. It's Friday. Well, it's the end of the work week anyway. So I really thought I was going to be on here early. And then life got in the way and things changed. And, well, here I am. A little bit late, but not too late. I searched around. I found what I think is a really good quote for today. That the title of our reading for today is Right Release. But I found a good quote from Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, extremely famous German philosopher of 200-300 years ago, who says, one ought every day at least to hear a little song, read a good poem, see a fine picture, as in painting, drawing, and if it were possible, to speak a few reasonable words. I cannot think of any better advice than that. But then again, he was up in the genius class and I don't claim to be there. So there we are. But I can read stuff. And here are some good words. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, if you're reading, if you're listening, these are good words, sport. Right release. Emerson's essays, of course, were pages 167 and 168. And he says, let the one learn that everything in nature, even motes and feathers, small things, goes by law and not by luck, and that what they sow, they reap. What you sow, you reap, irrespective of size. And Ernest Holmes says, it is necessary that we release all thoughts as well as all things that clutter up our lives. Now, I can tell you, it's Science of Mind textbook, page, what is it? 232. I can tell you, the last few days, my wife and I have been talking about getting rid of stuff, and then somebody was visiting, and they were talking about getting rid of stuff as well. You know, we accumulate all this stuff. I have loads of software in the office here that I'd like to get rid of. I'm just reluctant to throw it away because it's technically still useful to somebody, but I don't know how to get rid of it, you know, because of licenses, which ones have licenses, which don't. So anyway, I'm pointing it up towards my left. There's a lot of it, and I would love to get rid of that. And the other thing I would love to declutter is all the old tech stuff that is no longer any use. There are cables for which they don't make those devices anymore. You know, the fittings have all changed. Almost everything's USB-C now. Yeah, there's still some lightning around and some USB. Well, quite a bit, I guess, of USB-A. That's the bigger USB slot. USB-C is the smaller one. Lightning was one typical Apple used. And lots and lots of cables. There's some old hard drives that probably have nothing that I need on them anymore. So I really need to declutter that stuff. So I'm going to do it. So what's that got to do with today's reading? Well, pretty well everything, because it's called Right Release. Now, she's not talking about release in the sense that I am right now, but it's all relevant, right? It's all relevant. Why is it relevant? Because the stuff that we need to release isn't just here physically, it's actually here as well. So physically releasing stuff we no longer need actually releases stuff from up here as well. And it's always good. So, but let's see what Reverend Margaret has got to say about all this. And she says, in metaphysical speak, there's a wonderful bit of nomenclature called right release. Simply put, this refers to letting something or someone go. She says, I think this standoffish phrase of right release can sometimes help us set our minds in place to maybe look at a hard choice. In a couple of words, we can say, first, we approach an important situation in prayer, and then we stand before it with decisiveness. In the world of letting go, this can be a tough position. It may mean we have to stop doing something that's no longer ours to do. We may have to release loved ones to their own decisions and their own outcomes. Yep, I can think of some family members. We may have to exit a relationship or a work situation that is harmful to us or others. I think, like most of you, been there, done that. It helps immeasurably to position ourselves so that we're always open to the divine wholeness. She says, even if we don't get a thunderbolt to the mind, sometimes people call it a 2x4 from God, right? We may know that wisdom walks with us every step of the way. We can be confident that we're making the best decision at every moment. In other words, when we do it prayerfully. We carry courage and intention in us when we are willing to trust our infinite source and act accordingly. There is enormous freedom in right release, in letting go of what belongs to something that carries true healing in it. And I'm laughing because a small, well, not small, a medium-sized white cat wants to be released from the office. Yes, you can go. There you go. Hey, there are no coincidences in life, right? I'm talking about release, and he wanted to be released from here. I mean, his own choice to come in here, but he still needed releasing. And I think this whole thing speaks for itself, right? We know that there are things in our lives, not just clutter in the house, but situations, people, things that we just either need to let go of completely or keep at a distance. So my message to me and to you is, let's just go in prayer and see what comes up. And just let those things go. Sometimes we know instinctively, sometimes we know anyway what we got to let go of, right? But sometimes we don't. And it takes either an outside party or going in prayer to figure out what those are. So if there's stuff in your life, if there are people in your life that needs to be released, if there's mental churn that needs to be released, then do the best you can to let it go. And if you can't do it on your own, you try spiritual mind training. It doesn't work, see a practitioner or a minister to help you do that. If necessary, see a therapist or a psychiatrist if it gets to that. So anyway, that's my message for today. My colleague Reverend Lisa, as I always say, will be on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page tomorrow about 9:15 a.m. And I will be back tomorrow around about 5. Yep, I'm looking out there. If I'm not back at 5, I will be back at some other time. She has given us the same affirmation every day. The divine good fulfills me. Always has, always will, and I access it every day. The one for today in particular is, freely I choose to let go of what is not mine and to accept the healing presence and its guidance in all things. There's a song by Ricky Byers Beckwith, I think it's by her, maybe it wasn't by her, called Release. I Release and I Let Go. It's a spiritual song. It's a pretty good one. Look it up. I release and I let go. Those were the men. That was the main sentence in it. I release and I let go. And then I let the spirit, etc., etc. So anyway, I'll look it up. So hope you all have a wonderful start to the weekend. I hope the weekend turns out to be great when it comes. And I just know for everyone here, peace of mind and heart and soul. And I release this prayer into the divine mind, calling it down. And so it is. Until next time, namaste.